Okay, yeah. On the 16th of November 2012, we received a radio message from a game scout on Muttonderry Ranch, which is one of the ranches on Savi Valley. Now, we operate as an independent unit down here for security reasons, so when a call comes forward of poachers tracking a rhino, we called. So we responded to this, went up there, took one look at the spoor. It was fresh poachers, 4 fresh poachers tracking a rhino. We could tell that the rhino was running by the spoor, which indicated that this rhino, they had made contact with this rhino, these poachers, and that they were tracking it with mean intention. So I put my call signs of men on the spoor. We got tracking aggressively. We employed what's called a leapfrog principle, where I'd pick up a call sign, move them forward in the direction of the line of flight of the rhino, whilst a call sign is tracking up from behind, and we keep leapfrogging ahead. We went on till about midday, tracking these guys. The spoor was still on the rhino, this rhino running for his life, and we came to a place where we found that the poacher spoor disappeared. So I sent a stick of guys to continue with the rhino, just in case they went round and re-engaged on the rhino. Guys went and got this rhino visual. It was safe, and so I split my call signs into pairs, doing what we call a lost spoor procedure. Basically just trying to regain the poacher spoor and find out where they'd gone. We went on with this for a couple of hours. These guys employ some incredible anti-tracking, basically hiding their spoor. And I then decided to go off with one of my better trained guys, took a direction, and we went off doing a lost spoor procedure, cross-graining, trying to find where these poachers had got to. And on our way around, we had a gut feeling there was a little bit of high ground up to the right of us, some ridges that looked ideal for military type poachers to hide up, using the high grounders to their advantage. So we went round, and on cross-graining around, it took us quite a long time. It was about 5 p.m. in the evening that we were on our way around back to the vehicle. Hadn't picked anything up, and area just had an airy feeling to it. We were on edge. We were really on edge, and so we were sticking to all the procedures that we've trained with, keeping our spacing, keeping dead silent, using our silent signals, really alert and on tender hooks. And on moving up, there was a little saddle in the ridge ahead of us that we were going to go down through back to the vehicle. And just before we got there, we came under AK fire, and it was bang, bang, bang. We had about 4 rounds came past us. We hadn't seen these poachers, but we were under fire, and before we could hit the ground, it was frightening. We just waiting for a round to go through your guts or to hit you somewhere. You give it a bit of a screech and squeal because you don't know when you're going to get one. Hit the ground. I was very lucky to have one rock there for me. My colleague was in the open. He had an old rhino scrape that he buried his face in, and fortunately, through good training, this guy didn't abandon me, and we got down to the ground without getting shot, and we returned fire, traversed the firepower in the direction we thought it was coming from. It was really difficult to tell where we had been shot at from, because when rounds are coming really close past you, the bang is so loud that it's hard to tell the direction, and we just kind of knew instinctively that the high ground in front of us is where they had to be. So we traversed our firepower in that direction and then took cover. We naturally assumed that because they had opened fire on us first, these guys had us visual. So now we were pinned down. They had the high ground. Very frightening situation. You lose all the saliva in your throat. Your pulse goes up so high you can't hear anything, because of all the blood going to your ears and your head. And I didn't know whether my colleague had been shot dead or whether he was alive. Both ways, he didn't know the same of me. And this is where we had a problem with our radios because radios were not of proper quality and standard. Our radios failed us at that point. We couldn't call on backup, and finally my colleague's radio, he got through on a particular channel and managed to call our backup team, who came in about half an hour late. All this time we had about an hour and a half lying there below where these poachers were, expecting to be shot at again at any point. However, unbeknown to us, we had come up from behind these guys, caught them by surprise, and we had actually opened fire and actually done the damage, wounded these guys. So we remained in position, got our backup, opened fire on the side of this hill a couple more times as a procedure that is carried out, and then waited for nightfall. It's the standard procedure when you have a contact, is wait till it's absolutely pitch black before moving out. We did a 360 out of the area, backed off and went round back to the vehicle, back early morning with all my guys, and we came on a nearby road. We approached the area to sweep through and look for any form of evidence that might have been left, and we found a guy lying on the side of the road with both his feet were blown up, were shot up. We were shocked. We didn't know who this guy was, and jumped off and got around this guy in a safety defensive position. Questioned this guy. He couldn't talk English, couldn't talk the native language Shona. So we searched this guy quickly, found he had a Zambian passport, and his feet were both shot up properly. We could see it was the wounds were from bullets. And then the guy told us that he had come under attack from the Rangers, where in actual fact they had opened fire on us. But so we knew that we actually had the right guy here. We questioned the guy quickly. He told us they had been in looking for Rhino, and that they had a contact with the Rangers. So we got all the information we needed, put this guy under arrest, helped dress up his wounds quickly, and then as soon as we had taken care of this guy's injuries, we backtracked his drag marks, and we found where he had left a loaded AK-47, the same rifle that he tried to kill us with, against a big baobab tree, where he had been carried by two other poachers during the contact. They had carried him down with his injuries and left him at this baobab to ambush us. He obviously thought that we would come down and kill him, so he kept his AK loaded, and he was ready to kill us if we had approached him. So it was just as well we had stuck to the procedure of remaining till dark. That gave this guy time to enter into shock and actually consider the whole issue and decide to leave his weapon. He realized that we would come the next day, and if he had a rifle, it would be a shootout and he would probably be killed. So it gave him time to change his mind, abandon the weapon, and surrender himself near the road. So we then managed to recover the rest of the group and a G3 rifle in the process, and we managed to rein the whole lot in. It was a great success.